Hi, I'm Mike Cherniffsky, and you are listening to This Podcast is Uncalled For. We apologize, but due to circumstances involving Adam Archuleta, we do have to apologize for this episode of the podcast. So, happy Valentine's Day, first of all. And let me explain that joke. So, Adam Archuleta is a former safety in the National Football League. He was drafted 2001 by my St. Louis Rams. Then became a journeyman shortly after that, and one of the places he stopped was Washington under the old name. And it was in Washington that this became a thing. A lot of you sports fans probably know who Tony Kornheiser is from Party Interruption. He also does did, a radio show in Washington, D.C., where they talked about sports, but they also talked about things like the ongoing worldwide animal revolution and convention bats being fat, bald, and orange. All part of the Mr. Tony experience. A little thing came up called blaming Adam Archuleta. So as a result of Washington Football Club's 2006 season, season they finished 5-11. Archuleta was scapegoated by the team for that horrid season, and fans of the Mr. Tony podcast / radio show started blaming him for literally everything. All right, some of the things that he's been blamed for are the Great Chicago Fire, Sanjaya staying on American Idol, stealing Mr. Tony's iPod, telling the former Washington coach Jim Zorn that the team colors are maroon and black. Anyone with a functioning knowledge of football knows it's burgundy and gold. And being the father of American Idol contestant David Archuleta, I personally blame him for the existence of Valentine's Day. Because it's a day that if you're male, no, you can't win. If you're in a relationship, you're expected to shell out a lot of money to impress and or keep your lady friend. But if you're single, like me, perpetually single, it's a different type of hurt altogether, that you feel inadequate, less than a man, and unloved, and that's we're going to explore that seriously today. We're going to have some experts come in, and we're going to explore my situation again in a serious manner. Yeah, we start the episode in a jokey way, but at the end, this is a very serious thing for me. So I want to thank the podcasting group on Facebook again for this. I put a call out to kick off our season, saying these are some of the guests I want to bring on. And one was to talk about my troubles, if you will. And with each of these particular guests, I gave them the same message, and I'm going to go ahead and read it to you to give you some idea what exactly we're dealing with. So, of course, thanks for your interest in coming on the podcast to discuss my relationship issues. So here are the basics you will need to know before we do our discussion. I'm sharing them with you now on the podcast before we bring any of these experts on, so that you understand the context of where I'm coming from. All right. So I am 45 as of this recording. Yes, I am 45, and by the time we release this again on Valentine's Day, I'll still be 45 because my birthday's in September. 6'1", about 240. I say about because weight fluctuates. I live in Kansas City, which has a notoriety of being a difficult city for singles, and that is unfortunately true. I have theories as to why, but that is unfortunately true. I'm on the autism spectrum, which may have contributed to my issues. That's been discussed before. Dating back to school, girls/women I've been attracted to are either not interested or already seeing someone, which contributes to my justified fear of asking women out just out of the blue. I don't want to die at the hands of some random guy I unintentionally pissed off. Alright. On the flip side, girls and women who have shown interest in me, I usually don't find attractive. And yes, I've been the victim of a Russian sweetheart scam before. And this is good life advice for anyone going on those dating sites. I seem to attract nothing but scammers on online dating sites. They're the ones that usually try to move the discussion to Google Chat or WhatsApp. So if you're in a situation, you meet someone on a dating site, they say, oh, let's go over to Google Chat or let's go over to WhatsApp. Be very careful if they start asking for gift cards, like the type that you pay money for. Back away. Alright. When I have been lucky enough to date someone, it usually lasts one, or if I'm extremely lucky, 2 dates. Almost always, she's the one breaking things off. In social situations, especially in large groups, like some of the singles events I've been trying to attend lately, have been, with the exception of the game nights, which almost no one has attended. I am very uncomfortable. All right, you want me to clam up and just keep my mouth shut? Just put me in a situation where with a lot of people. All right. As a result of this, the word virgin still applies to me. I have very strong held opinions on things like sports, teams, politics, and others. So keep it Kansas City centric. If you're a Chiefs fan, I don't want to date you. If you're a Jayhawk, Chicken Hawk fan, not interested. If you're a K-State fan, I'm not interested. All right, so those are the big three. If you don't follow football, okay, we'll be fine. And there are other teams that I just can't stand. I would think if you're a regular listener to the podcast, you probably have a good idea of what those teams are. If you're a conservative Republican, I'm sorry, I'm a progressive Democrat, so I have little interest in dating anyone who has beliefs that are diametrically opposed to mine. And a few others. And And the last little thing I brought was I have zero, and I do mean zero, interests in dating anyone with kids. All right. Uh, Again, 45. I'm still a virgin. It just seems wrong to me to start a relationship with someone who already has kids for a number of reasons, not just because of the whole virgin angle, but with kids, inevitably there's drama, and I don't want that. I do not want that. So that is a lot to take in, but that is my situation. So now we're going to hear from the experts, and I hope we get some good advice for me and for you if you're in a situation similar to mine. Yeah, that's all I can hope for is some good advice that I can learn from, and you listening to this can learn from. So let's sit back and celebrate the holiday. All right. So go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
All right. So first and foremost, Michael, I'm glad to be a part of your podcast, man. Like this is awesome. You know what I mean? And some of the stuff that you laid out to me and things like that, I appreciate your honesty and all that, man. Super dope. But my name is Dale Valor. I'm with a company called Modern Success. I'm a dating coach with a heavy focus on inner game. I have a book called Inner Game, as a matter of fact. And for anybody that doesn't know what that means, the way I define it is the relationship that you have with yourself, right? So if the relationship with you suffers, you know, you don't feel good about yourself and things like that, how can you expect any other relationship in your life to be successful? If you don't like you, how can you expect anybody else to like you? You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that's pretty much what I do. You know, like I said, I got a book called Inner Game that came out a few months ago, where we talk in that book. I talk a lot about, you know, certain concepts like self-confidence, self-esteem, setting boundaries, self-discipline, not being the quote unquote nice guy. You know what I mean? Things like that, man. And matter of fact, you know what I'll do, bro, is I will I'm gonna send you a copy of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So make you know, like DM me your email address and I'll send you over a virtual copy.
Sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and one other thing too. Um I have a website called freegiftfromdale.com. And at that website, what you can do is there's an exercise there where you can really figure out who you are at the core, because I find that a lot of people, man, they just don't really know who they are. They kind of have an idea of who they are, but they don't really know who they are. You know what I mean? And that exercise will help you get that dialed in, so you know exactly who you are at the core and know what your self-worth is, you know? So I urge anybody, go to that website. It's 100% free. Do the exercise. You'll come out of that knowing way more about yourself than you went into it with. So
good deal. So I'm the at least the fourth Kansas City podcast.
Yeah, dude. Like, I don't know what it is, man. I did one not that long ago. The Random Christian Show. I don't know if you know him or not. But he's in Kansas City. And the other couple of guys, it escapes me right now. But yeah, I don't. Hell if I know why. It just seemed to work out that way. I'm in Detroit, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know why like all these Kansas City dudes keep linking up with me, but I'm with it. I'm good with it. I've been there Always had fun in
I
Kansas City. So
I
yeah.
have a couple of theories as to why. One, Kansas City's consistently ranks at the bottom of cities in terms of how singles friendly it is for some.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Okay. Why
And
do you think that is? I'm curious.
uh, probably a number of things. Like I said, well, a lot of my issues date back to high school,
Hmm.
and one of the things I noticed in high school is people couple pretty darn quick, and they tend to stay with that coupling for a very long time. So
Okay.
I think that's a big part of it. Another, if you know anything about Kansas City, is very spread out, and
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So even though you're in the same place, it's kind of like if you're on one side of town and she's on the other, it's almost like a long distance relationship or something.
Almost. Yeah, I just did that drive myself before I logged on here. I work all over the city, and
Gotcha.
from edge to edge, it's about an hour drive. So,
Yeah, dude, like Detroit's kind of similar that way. From going from, well, it depends on what time of day, of course, but from going from one side of town to the complete another opposite side of town, that's an hour and a half drive, you
mhm,
know. So yeah, I get that. That's understandable.
yeah. And I think another reason, I'm guessing these other podcasts have contacted you within the last month or so.
Yeah, month and a half, something like
O-
that.
Okay, so a so you've probably heard that a certain pop star started dating
Yes,
one
I'm
of the
familiar.
players for the local
Yeah,
football team.
yeah, I'm familiar. I'm not a pop culture junkie, but some things are just unescapable.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's very much unescapable. I learned that one of my coworkers at my day job is neighbors with said football player,
Oh, really?
and he
Okay.
can confirm the security vans and the paparazzi just hanging out.
The attack dogs, the a
Yeah,
guy,
yeah.
a guy in a tower, like.
No, no, I don't think they're that far yet, but yeah.
Well, check this out. So I know we got a lot to get into and things like that, but you'll find this funny. So, before my career and what I do now, I was a musician, hip hop artist,
Mhm.
and I used to tour a lot and things like that. And I was playing Kansas City. All right, this is years ago. Right? We're talking probably 20 years ago.
Okay.
And I'm playing in Kansas City. And I was not only was I performing, but they had asked me to be a judge in this rap battle tournament.
Mhm.
Okay. And so I'm like, yeah, all right, cool, I'll do it. And this is kind of what it came down to. Like the guys that were involved in this particular tournament, there was one guy who was just head and shoulders above everybody else. He was just way better than everybody. It was just his to lose. You know what I mean? Like he was just awesome. All right. Then there was another guy. He was okay, but he was not even close to this guy's level. Then everybody else just sucked. Everybody else was just terrible. Okay. So of course it boiled down to in the final, right? You got the guy who's exceptional, and then you got the guy who's all right. Okay. And there's like a $500 prize or something on the line here. So the guy that was okay, he knew he was going to get beat. He knew it. And so, I don't know what you know about rap battles, but generally, if you go first, you're at a disadvantage.
Mhm.
Okay. So the guy who was exceptional, he just volunteered to go first. He knew it was in the bag. And so he volunteered to go first, and he does his thing. The next guy goes, and he turns around. He's got his back to the stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
He undoes this. You can't tell what he's doing at this point, but what he's doing is he's undoing his pants. All right. He whips his junk out and turns around and just starts peeing on the other. He didn't even rap, man. He just starts pissing on this dude. Now, me, I don't like it when it comes to like rap battle stuff. I don't like tricks and props like I just want to hear how good you are and how much you diss the other guy. That's what I want, right? The dude that peed on the other guy won. Everybody voted for that dude except me. And I was just like, oh man, that dude is about to get an ass whooping from somebody because he just cost that guy $500 and peed on him.
Oh, that's funny stuff.
Yeah, man. So, I know that we were talking a little bit, via DMs and things like that, and you were kind of breaking down a little bit of your story and things like that.
Right.
And so, what are some of the issues that you're running into?
Well, at my age nowadays, just it could be a number of things, but the big one is I cannot approach someone like say at a bar.
Okay.
I think not that I go to bars all that much anymore anyway. I can't approach someone and not in the back of my head think, oh, she's probably with someone and he's probably might want to kick my ass.
It might pee on your leg, man. Okay. So, all right, let's start there. Now, and hopefully I'm not speaking out of school here, but one of the things that you had mentioned to me is being on the spectrum, and I don't want to put any personal information out there that you don't already have out there. So, hopefully that's okay that I brought that up, but
it brought up. So,
okay. So, my suspicion is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I could be just completely wrong about this, but my suspicion is that maybe you have a bit of an issue with maybe picking up on some social cues. Would you say that's accurate?
That's very accurate.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. And you know what? And here's the deal, man. A lot of times, and I've worked with many students who are on the spectrum to varying degrees, right? And one thing that I can tell you is that there's an extra wrinkle there. I'm not going to lie and say, oh, that's no big deal, man. Don't even worry about that. No, there's an extra layer there that needs to be worked on. You know what I mean? But the saving grace is it is something that is actually workable and doable, and it's something that you can overcome that. You know what I mean? Much like, like learning any other type of skill or knowledge or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure basic math. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And so, but you didn't always know basic math. At some point as a child, you didn't know basic math until you learned it. Same thing with even speaking, walking, you were a baby, couldn't walk until you weren't and could, so these are all things that we can work on, and it's an extra challenge, but that doesn't mean that it's not feasible or like, you may as well just give up or that'd be silly for somebody to suggest that to you, so here's the deal, man. Firstly, okay, you don't know if that guy is her boyfriend. You don't know if it's her brother. You don't know if it's her gay best friend. You don't know. Now, the caveat being, sometimes it's obvious, if they're making out. I hope it's not her brother. You know what I mean? But like there's going to be tells sometimes, right? But
Mhm.
not always. And I'll give you an example. So I was working with a student who, much like, similar to you in the aspect of, just walking up and approaching and starting a conversation was difficult for him. Okay. And that was a hurdle that we overcame. But even still, sometimes I would have to push him, and sometimes physically, like, go, man, go, But the thing is that we were out in kind of a, bar, clubby, nightlife area here in the Detroit area.
Mhm.
And it was nice out, we're out walking the streets and stuff. And, there's this girl standing outside of this bar. All right. Now there's a guy right next to her, and they're having a conversation.
Mhm.
And I'm like, all right, man, go approach her. And he's like, approach her. And I'm like, yeah, her. And he's like, her boyfriend's right there. And I'm like, oh, you know them? And he's like, no, I don't know them. I'm like, well, how do you know that's her boyfriend? He's like, well, I guess I don't. And I'm like, all right, go find out. Okay. So he goes over there. He starts talking to, this is something I always teach when it's a guy and a girl situation. So if you're at a bar or wherever you're at,
Mhm.
and here's a guy, here's a girl, you don't go talk to the girl. You go and start the conversation with the guy. Okay. So now he goes over there. He starts talking to this guy, right? And I'm kind of standing back because I just wanted to observe and watch everything. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I could read, facial expression, body language, things like that. Okay. So I'm watching this play out, and they're talking probably for about, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes collectively, the three of them. Then I see the guy put his hand on my guy's shoulder and just kind of lean in and say something in his ear. And then he walks off. All right. Now, him and the girl are standing there talking, and they have a probably good 10-15 minute conversation. Then I see phones come out. All right. And I see them exchanging phone numbers. Okay. And quick little hug. And he walks back to me, and off she goes. Okay. And I was like, well, that looked like that went well. And he's like, dude, I set up a date for Friday. And I'm like, awesome, you know? And I'm like, so I guess that wasn't her boyfriend then. And he was like, yeah, they didn't even know each other. She was outside smoking a cigarette, and he walked over and was just asking her if she had a lighter. And he was using that. Now this other guy was trying to talk to her and try to flirt with her and stuff, but that was kind of like his in, hey, you got a lighter, and segue that into a conversation, right? So as it turned out, they didn't know each other. He's trying to talk to her. And I was like, what did he say to you before he left when he was talking in your ear? And my guy was like, he just leaned in and was like, fuck it, you win. And walked off. And so that's what I'm getting at here, man, is that you don't know what you don't know. And this is the other thing too. The thing about well, what if it's her boyfriend? And then he's gonna want to kick my ass or something.
Mhm.
Man, let me tell you, I have been out doing this for a long, long time. I go out all the time, man. I have yet to see that happen. I've seen stuff, not people I was working with, but I've seen, somebody do something stupid, you know what I mean? And like, say something like overtly like crazy, like something out of line, you know what I mean? Something like overtly sexual and things like that.
Mhm.
Now, I've seen a fight break out in a bar and things like that, but none of my guys, I've never seen that. I've never seen a drink thrown in a face. I've never seen a guy get slapped by a girl. I've never seen one of my guys have to fight some other dude or something. Like, I've never seen that happen
Mhm.
because 99% of people are raised to be cordial, are raised to be civil. They're not quick to fight. Now they may defend themselves, or if somebody's like crazy out of line, that's one thing. But I don't believe that you would be out of line like that. I don't think that you would do anything crazy like that, you know? So I don't think that you have anything to worry about. I think what you have going on is a limiting belief that's giving yourself an excuse to not go talk to her, right? Because, well, I don't want to run the risk of getting my ass kicked, you know, so I'm not going to go talk to her. Well, really, what it boiled down to is you just didn't actually want to go talk, or you wanted to, but you didn't have enough initiative to actually make that happen. And you're using that as the out. You know what I mean? So if you find yourself in a situation like that, just walk up and befriend the guy. You'll find out what's going on between them simply by having that conversation. You say something like, oh, you guys are a cute couple. Believe you me, if they're not a couple, that girl will let you know. Oh, no. We're not together. Like, that's my brother. Or something like that, you know? Like, she'll be quick to let you know that they're not together. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Yeah. If I do have that limiting belief, it's because it's kept happening to me and happening to me, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. You know, the thing is that you know, you need to look at yourself as having value. You know, my suspicion is that you probably think that you don't bring enough to the table to get this girl's interest. Okay. So, and that's why I urge people to go to freegiftfromdale.com to do that exercise so you can see what your self-worth is. You know, if okay, as I sit here, right, I'm in my house. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, if I wanted to put my house up for sale, it would behoove me to know approximately what my house is worth, right? Because if I'm going to put it up for sale, if I price it way too high, nobody's going to come look at it. If I price it way too low, I'll get a bunch of people that come and look at it, and I'll probably get a gang of offers. However, it's still, those offers aren't going to be anywhere close to what the house is actually worth, right? So it only makes sense to know what that worth is, that intrinsic value that you embody, you know? And by knowing that, it's like, man, look at all these dope things that I bring to the table, you know? Like, man, I'll do the exercise with you right now, you know? So, you know, when we're talking about identity, it's really about knowing who we are and what we're worth. I say this all the time. You know, a guy who knows who he is and knows what he wants is a dangerous man. Unfortunately, most guys don't know either. You know, like we have a vague idea of who we are. I'm funny guy, or I'm adventurous guy, or I'm nerdy guy, or I'm jock guy, right? And the list goes on and on and on. Well, look, if you're a funny guy, that's great. That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. But the problem is are you funny guy 24 hours a day? No, that's impossible. You got to sleep for one. And for two, I don't care if you're the funniest dude on planet Earth. Nobody's funny 24 hours a day, you know? So you're not just funny guy. That's only one facet of you, you know? So, you know, knowing who you are, it comes down to a few different concepts. Okay. The first one being nature. All right. So, you know, everybody, you know, we all have DNA, right? They come from our parents, they came from their parents, they came from their parents, and so on and so forth. So we all have certain genetic makeups. We all have certain dispositions based on those genetics. Okay. If, you know, you have a long line of people with addictive personalities, well, it's not set in stone that you will, but you're way more likely to be an alcoholic or a gambling addict or, drug addict or something, right? So, it's just something that somebody has to watch out for. If they're raised by raging alcoholics, hey, like that's something you got to watch, so it's that you're not next in line to be the next raging alcoholic, right? And if you have, if you have good genes and things like that, if your parents are athletic, you'll probably be athletic too, So also with that is nurture. How were you raised? The way I like to put it is you got two puppies from the same litter, right? Mm-hmm. They both get adopted. Same genetics. Mm-hmm. One goes to a family that cares about it, takes care of it, loves it, takes it for walks, feeds it, plays with it, all that. It's going to be a good dog. The odds are in the favor of it being a good dog by a large degree, okay? The other dog gets adopted by somebody who don't care about it, doesn't feed it right, leaves it outside all the time, yells at it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That dog is likely to grow up to be a scourge of the neighborhood, man, biting people and, like it's not going to be a well-trained, good dog, all right? So depending on how we were raised and things like that plays a role into who we are. The other thing is environment, right? So, you've heard the expression product of your environment, right? We're a product of the environment. Okay. Right. So same thing with people, so it's like, for me, I grew up in the city, like I grew up like around a ton of Black people. Okay. Like all my friends growing up were Black. Most of my friends now are Black. I live in a Black neighborhood. Like that has obviously affected my tastes in music, in the way I carry myself, the way I talk, things like that. Now, if I grew up way out in the country somewhere, mm-hmm. I probably wouldn't be the same person with the same tastes. Okay. So that plays a factor. All right. The most important part of this, though, is your intrinsic value. Okay. And we'll get to that in a second. But mm-hmm. you take all those components. Oh, forgot about one, your experiences. If you've dealt with a bunch of traumatic stuff, it's going to shape the way that you look at the world, right? For most people, anyway. Mm-hmm. If you've had nothing but good things happen to you for the most part, it's also going to shape the way that you see the world, right? So that's going to play a factor. You add intrinsic value with that, you mix it all up, boom, there's your worldview, the way that you see the world, okay? So here's the thing, intrinsic value. What that is it's the personality traits, the characteristics that you embody, things that you like about yourself, And so I'll ask you, if there's one thing about you, like I said, it could be a personality trait, it could be just a good characteristic about you, whatever. Mm-hmm. But if there's one thing that you respect about yourself and like about yourself more than anything else, what would that thing be?
Probably I'm the type of person that show up on time, if not early.
Okay, punctual. And you are punctual. I'm punctual too, man. I jumped on like a minute before you did. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, here we go. Like, that's what's up, because a lot of times these things tend to be late. So, okay, being punctual. All right. If there was a second thing, what would that second thing be?
Right, being intelligent.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Punctual, intelligence. Okay, a third thing.
A good sense of direction.
Good sense of direction. But it's getting a little tougher now, isn't it? What if I ask you for a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, right? Like, it gets tougher the more that you think, it's not coming right off the top of the head anymore. It's like, okay, I got to actually think about this now, right? So, okay. Now, check this out. So there's 8 billion people on planet Earth, approximately, right? Okay. Now, there's no way to know this, of course. Okay. But if you had to take a shot in the dark, wild stab guess, okay, what do you think the percentage of people that are as punctual as you are of those 8 billion people?
Less than 1%.
Okay, we'll say 1%. We'll make the math easy. Okay. So 1%. All right, cool. I guess I'm in that 1%. Okay, so all right, so 8 billion people, that's 80 million people. Okay. 80 million people are as punctual as you. Of those 80 million people, how many of them are as intelligent as you, or at least to a level that you respect?
Let's go another 1%.
1%. Okay, cool. So, I see this is going to wrap up in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, because I'm a cheapo.
Okay, gotcha. All right, well, I'll make this quick then. All right, so 80 million, now we're down to 800,000. Okay, of that 800,000, how many of those people have a good sense of direction?
Oh, just keep on the theme here. Let's go another 1%.
1%. Okay, so now we're down to 8,000. Okay. All right. So you see, the pool of people are shrinking, right? So again, if I ask you for a fourth thing, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, right? Like that pool gets smaller. All right. Now, what you have is a list of these characteristics and these qualities about yourself. Okay. And you're the only one that has it. Say you come up with 25 things. If you really sit down and think about it, okay, you come up with 25 things. It would be a statistical anomaly for anybody else on planet Earth to have those same 25 traits in that same exact order. It's just not going to happen. So that is you. That list, if like sit down and think about it, take the time, write that out. And now, okay, you're talking to some girl somewhere or something, and she isn't receptive. Look at all this that she missed out on. Now, there's something to be said about being able to communicate those values. Okay. I mean, you just can't walk up. I mean, I guess you could, but it'd be weird if you walked up and was like, "Hey, how you doing? My name is Michael. Just so you know, I'm very punctual. I'm intelligent and a good sense of direction." Like that would be like weird, right? So there's something to be said about communicating it. But if at the end of the day, if she doesn't want to, keep the conversation going with you, get to know you a little bit, whatever, look at what she missed out on. Either it boils down to is she doesn't know what value is, or it wasn't communicated well. One of the two things. Now, we could talk about communicating it, you know what I mean? But for you in particularly, since I'm talking to you, I think for you, what would be the best thing that you could probably do is, bottom line, the way that you present yourself. You are a walking billboard to everybody. You know what I mean? You just are, right? So people whether it's right or wrong or in the middle, everybody makes snap judgments. You make them, I make them, everybody makes them, right? So if people are going to make it, and you go into it knowing that people make snap judgments, wouldn't it make sense to position yourself in the best light possible, right? So, and I don't just mean like, what you're wearing. Yeah, that plays a part into it. Your grooming is certainly important and things like that. But even beyond that, your body language, your posture, the way that you carry yourself, like imagine this. Imagine you're driving down the street, right? On this side of the street, you got a guy walking. All right. This guy's got, shoulders back, chest out, chin up. He's walking with purpose, right? He's about to handle something. He's got somewhere to be. This guy looks important, right? And on the other side of the street, you got a guy hands in his pockets, just kind of looking at the ground, just kind of trudging along. You know what I mean? Everybody is going to say that guy is confident. That's a guy of value. Mm-hmm. That is a guy whose dog just died or something. Like, that guy is depressed. I don't want to know that guy. I want to know that guy. You know what I mean? And so these are things that we can do, that we can work on before even opening our mouths. You know what I mean? So is that if you're at a bar, if you're at the mall, on the street, don't matter. When you're walking up, they're not the women that you want to go talk to, they're not already having this preconceived notion like, oh, here we go. You know what I mean? Because here comes a guy with purpose. Here comes a guy that looks and sounds and feels confident. And I think that we both can agree confidence is an attractive quality, right? You know, so even if you're not confident, if you're presenting yourself as being confident, it's as good as having it, you know, because that's the way that she's going to read it. You see? So that's where I would start is, you know, figuring out, okay, am I carrying myself the way that is an attractive way to carry myself or not? You know, and I mean, there's all kinds of information online that you can find, you know what I mean? But bottom line is, you know, shoulders back, chest out, chin up. That's a power pose. That shows a confident guy. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I would start. Then the next thing that I would do is, this is a mistake that a lot of guys make, is they think that they need to have everything figured out before even walking up and starting a conversation. And that's just simply not true. Okay. The only thing that you really need to figure out is how to approach correctly in the here and now. Okay. Yeah. There's more things down the road and things like that to learn and to know and stuff like that. But, you know, I'm a big advocate of small chunking things. You know, for me, my story, dude, I couldn't talk to anybody out in public. You know, it didn't matter who it was. I couldn't talk to them. And the way that I started learning and starting getting comfortable talking to strangers and people I didn't know is simply go to the grocery store and just ask people where the soup aisle is. That's where it all started for me. You know what I mean? And I small chunked it to a very large degree. And I knew where every soup aisle was in Metro Detroit. but the thing is that if I would have overwhelmed myself and said, I have to figure out how to get a date with this girl right now, I'm not even going to go talk to her because I don't know how to do that. So let me learn to at least be able to have a conversation with somebody and then start building on top of that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, we don't really have, I know we're running short on time, so we don't have a lot of time to get into it, but you know what I mean? But yeah, man, like don't overwhelm your brain with like, I have to have all this figured out. No, you don't. What you have to do is just learn how to start a conversation in a productive way. That's it. That's really all you need to learn at this point in time. And again, present yourself well.
All right. And with that, I'll take that into consideration, and I'll look up all the materials you suggested, and I will send you my email and
no doubt, man, no doubt. And you know what? Here's the thing too. You know, guys that are on the spectrum, you know, a lot of times, again, you know, like there's certain social cues that just, it just doesn't land and resonate. You can learn those things like you can learn anything else, even if you like your brain doesn't like get the concept of it. Look, I don't need to know how the transmission works in my car in order to drive my car.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't need to know that. All I need to know is how to drive it. Right. So if there's certain things like that that just are bogging you down, look, all you need to know is if somebody's interested and their eyes are like super open, like it doesn't matter why. It just that's all you need to know. Her eyes are wide open. She's interested.
All right.
You see, so makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. So,
Well, listen, Michael, I appreciate this, man. This was super fun, dude. So yeah, man, send me your email address. I'll send you over the book and go to freegiftfromdale.com. Check it out.
all right.
All right, cool, man. Thank you again.
Thank you. Yeah. Another expert who contacted me for this episode. Unfortunately, I was not able to record our conversation, but I will go and talk about our conversation now. Her name is Cadence Robertson. She is a relationship coach out of Ontario, Canada. And she contacted me over Zoom. We spent the better part of an hour based on the same information I gave Dale, my issues and everything. And she believes, there may be some truth to this, but she believes that my biggest problem is a very deep-seated fear, a fear of opening up, especially to women in social situations. That's quite frankly been there for quite a long time, and unfortunately I can't really afford to go through coaching at this period of time, but it is something to consider. And yeah, so thank you, Cadence, for your consultation, and I'll look a little more into how to conquer this fear, how to address this fear, and we'll go from there. All right, so please have back on the podcast with us to give a layman's perspective on what we're discussing here. Our very first guest, Pat Lamb, back with us.
Great to be back.
Yeah, great to have you back. So, you read the criteria. You read the information I shared with.
I did.
Yep.
So you just want my thoughts on?
Yeah,
on
let's
that?
start with your thoughts, and then you send me some other thoughts that.
Yeah, it's a kind of this whole cat and mouse game with men and women. Mm-hmm. We're basically very different. The women have kind of a feminine energy to them. Males have a masculine energy. A female won't always admit it, but she wants the man to be masculine. Mm-hmm. She wants to. She kind of wants to chase him. She wants to earn his love. If a man is too giving of himself, and you think of the flowers and the fancy dinners and presents and all of that, and to your girlfriend, they will eventually tire of you because they don't have to work very hard to keep you, and they grow tired of you, and then they want out. They lose interest. So that's a situation I kind of went through. I think I was too much of the nice guy. Mm-hmm. You've heard the nice guys finish last.
Hear that way too often.
Yeah. So you had mentioned kind of a little bit on the autism spectrum, and I kind of told you I've got a little bit of ADHD and OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and there's attachment styles people have. So if you get somebody and you're involved with the way you become attached to them, and then for some reason they decide to go away, it's like you're a cocaine addict. You're addicted to this person, and not having them, you're just wanting, and so you kind of have to go through a whole process of getting over that so that you can become whole, love yourself, all those cliche terms we've all heard of. So you have a specific question you'd like to ask me?
No, not particularly. I will go ahead and say that I've had 2 women I've dated that have been on the podcast, one of whom you know. Yeah, it's difficult being in that situation. Yeah, she's been on the podcast before, so F it. I'm talking about Caroline. Um, with her, I I love her. I respect her and everything, and that's just that. I want to keep that, at least keep the friendship part of it. But at the same time, I want
The horrible friend zone. Yeah, it's something that really a majority of guys are not very good at meeting and attracting women to make that strong bond that you can move on with, maybe make them a girlfriend or whatever. And I've been reading, listening to a bunch of these internet things, and they're all trying to sell you something on how to text message a woman to make them, and it would work for women texting guys as well, to make them want to be with you or sort of obsess over you. And it says in there, women don't fall in love when they're with the guy; they fall in love when they're not with them. So, and they say it's kind of like when they read these romance novels. This type of thing is in the romance novels, and so it's the man's job to sort of plant this seed and create this little bit of mystery, a little bit of aloofness, a little bit of I can walk away from this if I want. I don't need you. I'm not really that attracted to you. And then the woman kind of says, "Oh, why is he not? I'm going to do some things to make him attracted to me." And so then you flip the tables, and the chase has gone from the guy chasing the woman to the woman chasing the guy, and that fits kind of this traditional, the caveman out gathering food, and the cave woman taking care of the cave, or the housewife and the breadwinner man, and so it's the most what's the word I'm looking for? Counterintuitive thing when you figure this out. There's a book by a guy named Robert Greene called The Art of Seduction, and in just the title, the seduction, and people think of that as being this horrible guy out trying to seduce women, or a salesman trying to seduce his customer or whatever. But it's deals with psychology, it deals with the chemistry of the body, and it deals with these things that kind of harken back to these natural instincts, almost animal-like. Like one of the things I wrote was about a cat and a string. As long as the string is moving, and it's a challenge for the cat, it's heavily interested in that. Lay the string down, the cat doesn't care. If the string stops trying, in a sense, to intrigue the cat's no longer interested. And that is very similar to this dance that we do with trying to meet somebody. One of the things I remember out of one of them was desire and respect is something that you need to show to a woman. So if a guy meets somebody and they're intrigued, they need to not be afraid to show them that they're interested in them. But if they say something, the woman says, "No, I don't want to do that," or "It's too soon for that," so I respect that. But if you get them on going, then they say you need to escalate that. But they talk about these guys like, "Well, we've been going out for how long? You been going out?" These coaches and things. "Oh, we've been going out for 3 months." "Well, you guys heavily involved?" "Oh no, she's not. She's not like that." So that woman hasn't received this desire part from the guy. She thinks maybe he doesn't desire me. He respects me. And then you got the Harvey Weinsteins, and they do a lot of desiring, but they have no respect. Okay, right. And so you come off as a creep if you can't balance those two, because we hear of what do they call the guys? The
stalkers.
The Art of Seduction calls him the rake. That's kind of the bad boy that the women want. So the women might have this good guy. He's doing everything he thinks in the world that's right. Be kind to her, compliment her. And in doing that, he's showing her that he is chasing her and that she doesn't have to do anything. She's lost the string, okay? There's just nothing there for her to do because that man will always be there. So she's looking maybe for something better, or she's just looking for a challenge because, the women want to have the guy be a challenge. They want to earn the guy's love. So the couple things too. Some of these are really good, and you look them on the internet, and they'll give you 80% of what they will sell you. So, but if you really want to know the secrets, the perfect texting words, or the perfect lines, or or where to create this oxytocin release in the body that just makes them, fall in love with you, whether you're tall, fat, short, rich, poor, doesn't matter. It's more of a chemical, biological, natural thing. But one of them was emotions. So being emotional falls in the spectrum of feminine energy. Touchy-feely, getting, and guys can have emotions, but the masculine energy wants you to be in total control of those. So if something happens and, this is a bad example, like at a funeral, you might be able to not cry at the funeral. You can still be very sad. You can still express that, but you don't break down and kind of lose your composure. And then the other one is this reactivity to, and the example I heard was, you never take the trash out anymore. You don't do anything around here. You don't even take the trash out. He goes, yes, I do. And that's just reacting. It's not good. That does not help. But if you'd say, oh, you know what? I'll tell you what. I'll take the trash out right now. And I do that. But that's so you're kind of water off a duck's back. That attack comes in, and you do not react to that emotionally. And that is a sign to the woman, oh, this is a strong guy. He's not a weak guy that's going to knuckle under. And then there's another one, there's all these tests that they do, and you think you know the answer to it, but they really want you to react in a completely different way to show that you're a masculine guy, not a wimpy guy that does that. So believe me, I'm no master at it, or I'd still have the love of my life with me, because she got bored with me, told me a couple reasons. One, she didn't think I was doing enough to take care of my health as the number one priority, and she didn't want to be a caregiver down the road, and she's a very athletic, active person. But I think that always being nice, in the beginning, it was just the most wonderful thing. I took a lot of pictures. We just both looked so happy, and we were. But at some point, she, just got, a few things got in her mind, and so you kind of go down this negative path. And there's also ways that you can jump in and not make them erase those memories, but you can say and do things that would, as time goes on, might think of the more positive things that might completely change their mind. Now I've missed that window for now. One, I have to get healthy. I scheduled a doctor's appointment and a dentist appointment and doing these things, and I'm actually very thankful that she said that to me, because the only thing that I could probably blame her for is if I take care of all that stuff and I live to be 100. I'd blame her for living to 100 instead of dying at 65. So, I'm thankful. I'm a little hurt by it all. I'm trying to respond. At this point, she kind of said, I've told you what the problem is. We don't need to talk anymore. And nothing you can say is going to change your mind. You go online and you'll find things, and several of these people will say, 80, 90% of the time, they'll change their mind if you do this, and that. And they all want $40, $60, $80, whatever. So it can be very expensive, and there's no real guarantee that it's going to work. And to become this kind of masculine man that women are attracted to, some of the things are counterintuitive. It almost seems like you're being mean. It's, and I tell a lot of guys, they're having to say, well, don't be too nice to her, or that'll be the end of it.
I keep hearing that a lot.
You really can't be the nice guys finish last, friend zone, because a woman, when you do these things in this initial interaction, they decide if this guy has potential as go back to the biology of it. This is a potential mate. We can get married and have children and propagate the species, or no, it's a friend zone guy. This guy, he has no potential, in my mind, because of what he just said or did, to be that kind of masculine man that the feminine woman traditionally wants. Now, don't get me wrong, we all have masculine and feminine energy in our bodies, and they're all, I'm probably strictly speaking on kind of a heterosexual levels right now. I don't want to go into any of that or cause any discord with anybody there, but in that traditional male-female attraction, chase, whatever you want, falling in love and living happily ever after. Unfortunately, the living happily ever after, you still got to do the work. You still got to do the work, just like the first month, the week that you met them, the early part, to get them to want you. Because that's the ultimate thing. If a woman decides for whatever reason, this isn't a challenge. This guy, I can always come back to him. I'm going to go out and find me somebody that's more exciting, more interesting.
Right.
So probably repeat myself a little bit here, but I don't. So if I could put it in a nutshell, so you walk into a group, a club, a bar, wherever you go to, even church, whatever, to meet people. You need to be kind of aloof. You don't want to overshow your interest in them. Mm-hmm. And like I love this one. Like if you're at a bar and you meet a girl and you hit it off and you start talking to her, and things seem to be going really well, you might say something like, "Well, hey, nice talking to you. Maybe I'll see you later." And you walk off and you go talk to some other girl. Well, immediately that girl says, "Hey, what did I do? It's going well. I want him." And so there you've just completely flipped the table on him. Mm-hmm. The guy was interested in her. He showed, I can take it or leave it. Now all of a sudden she's saying, what was my problem? Why is he not still there?
Right.
And so, in a nutshell, everything I read online, everything in that book, The Art of Seduction, all of that stuff basically says the same thing. And yet we've been programmed to be a nice guy, be respectful, open the door for him, and do all of these things and whatever she wants, happy wife, happy life, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And, we get a horrible divorce rate. Most, relationships don't last very long. Probably a lot of that is because of these kind of traditional, let's call them traditional values versus the laws of nature,
mm-hmm.
And I don't know, is there anything else? Does that help at all?
I can throw a couple of my examples into this. So,
okay.
One, other than the Slobodskoya incident, which involves, of course, being scammed online. All right.
And those start with the woman literally chasing you from the beginning. It appears that, oh my gosh, this woman's really interested in me.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? Or I get these stupid mistaken texts. Do you get those? Like, hey Joe, where were you last night? And it's just like, oh Jesus, so some number, and you're like, so I play along with them.
Yeah.
Is this not Joe? Well, no, this is Joe. We were just together last week. And then it kind of throws them off their game. But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So this scenario, the gal asked me to add to a roller derby, mm-hmm. and she was actually participating in said roller derby, and then invited me to the after party. At the after party, I met her ex, and then she spent most of the after party with the ex, and basically, I don't think it's gonna work out. Well, you're spending an awful lot of time with the ex, and not enough time with me. So, what was the point of me showing up at that point? You know. So that's one.
So that some of the ploys are kind of this jealousy ploy. It's you think a guy doesn't really want to share his woman with anybody, and a woman doesn't want to share a guy, but if this woman sees this guy and look, he's got all these women around him, they all seem interested and attracted to him. I want a piece of that, I want that kind of guy. That's a high value man because of that. And so all I can say is it's just you can go online and you can find a lot of stuff that isn't going to cost you a penny. You can go online and find the Art of Seduction book, and if you have to pay $12 or $15 or $20 for that book, it'll be the best investment you've ever had in your life, because you start to recognize what type of personality. The siren is the Marilyn Monroe. The rake is the John Kennedy. Just conquering all the women. The charmer is a guy that just kind of has this way of reflecting back on the person he's talking to, making them feel good. So they like this guy because he keeps doing things to make them feel good. But the charmer doesn't usually get a lot of action, And then there's the dandy, which is kind of the guy who dresses up, kind of an Oscar Wilde type person, and there's just all these different types. And after reading that, when I see somebody, I can kind of. It doesn't take me long to figure out kind of which one of those categories they fall into, and so. One of the things in the book, this I think would really set some people off, is one of the chapters, I think it is, pick your victims well. And to think of this potential future love interest as a victim is really harsh language. It's really kind of almost offensive in the way it's written, but it's a way to find somebody that you can play on their insecurities or something. If you see, oh, she's a little concerned about, she's got a big nose and she's really self-conscious about it. Or she's got a mole on her face or something, something like that, and that creates this opportunity because she's shy, self-conscious, or feels bad about that.
Right.
And some people love praise. There's a book, The 5 Love Languages, if you've ever heard of that. But some, they're like words of praise. Like some guys really want their woman to say, "Oh, honey, you're so good at what you do. You're such a great salesman, and I really love the way you come home and play with the kids and stuff like that." And that guy really feels empowered by that and feels good about himself. And another one might be quality time. So it's, a guy could buy this person all these gifts and do all these things and the fancy cars and the houses, but if he can't give her any quality time and that's really her love language, he's not going to connect. She's going to always feel bad because that's something that really means something to her. It's like you find a guy that'll give you money, but a guy that'll really focus on you, give you his time, really be interested in you. And so those are different. And I can't remember the other three, but that's something to look into. Yeah, look it up. The 5 Love Languages, The Art of Seduction, and then go online and just, you'll find stuff for how to get your ex back or getting over a breakup or how to attract the woman of your dreams online. You put that in, and believe me, and then with the AI and the algorithms and Facebook and stuff, your feed will be flooded with those things, and you can get sucked into them. But each one gives you, it's just like the little morsel. It gives you just a little bit of it to get you interested. And at the end, you want to know the roots, so you give me some money, and so you got to be careful there. But
I would hope that we would come up with solutions that don't involve parting with money. But so I'm at single groups for a little bit because I've been trying to get involved with those. I recall they did Taco Tuesday. This was like probably last year or something. I felt completely uncomfortable at this thing. I couldn't really talk with anyone at this. There were just way too many people, and just like, why did I choose to come here? And all that stuff.
Well, I've never been to one of these speed dating things, but I always thought that was an intriguing concept where they'll have like a timer, and it's almost like like you're rotating in opposite direction. So, say the women will be seated there, and the guys will, at 2 minutes or 3 minutes, will move down one, and then move down to the next one. And so it's just this: how good are you at? So maybe you find some good lines or good opening things to say and strike some interest, and to see how fast you can build rapport. You say, "Oh, I really like this girl here, number 17 or whatever." Or maybe you ask for their number, and other ones will say, "No, this one's just not working." But you got to have some good game to go to something like that. You got to kind of do your research, figure out what. But it's a skill. It's a skill set, and it's as much as having good game. You got to learn what it is that just turns a girl the other way. Certain things you can say, certain you don't want to be a conversation dead ender. You don't want to answer a question with yes or no, or even ask questions like that. And if you ask a question that the answer to is either going to be yes or no, that's all you're going to get. And you better come up with another question, or you're going to have 1 minute and 45 seconds of silence. So, but the groups, there are these meetup groups. I mean, say you're into photography, you're into video, you're into playing board games or whatever.
All the above, yeah.
You go.
I have tried to run singles board game nights, and 50-50 that anyone shows up, and those who do show up, there's that biological thing that as a guy, you want
guys are visual. Guys are
right?
visual. You're attracted to attractiveness. Women are not as much. I mean, they know. Oh, he's he's Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise or a George Clooney. Or, they got this ideal man, but that's not always really what they ultimately want. They want somebody that is good at playing this cat and mouse chase game to make them. They want somebody that seems to be just a notch above them, who's a really quality guy, who's not too emotional, he's not too reactive to, doesn't fly off the handle. He seems kind of calm and just kind of, I don't need you. And then the woman says, well, why not? What am I doing wrong? And they start doing things to try to get your attention. Whereas if you do certain things or you show them that you're too interested, you might come off as a creep, or you might come off as a, leave me alone. I'm not interested in you. Because it's when you're that direct. And you need to be a little mysterious. That's another thing in the artist, a little bit of mystery. You don't want to tell somebody your whole story. You tell them your whole story, where can you go from there? If they know all your background, all your secrets, all your little quirks, it's like, I don't have anything else to figure out about this guy,
Just listen to this podcast.
I'm really interested to hear what your expert. So did you talk to like a dating coach?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of the people online are what they call themselves relationship experts, or they go in to save a marriage. And if you're married to somebody, obviously the people involved in a marriage, they have a lot higher given reasons to try to get back together. They might have kids. They might have a house they own together. They might, all of this stuff. Where if you're just dating, to be able to break that off and just completely walk away is not as tragic for somebody, especially young people, as it is for a married couple. Maybe they've been married 20 years and lost that love and feeling.
Sure. Well, are there any lessons we could... this is a bit current events for the time. We were recording this in November 2023, and literally just steps away from where we're sitting right now. There's been a bit of a love story brewing, shall we say? Yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about here.
No, give me another. Oh, the Travis?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that one. So Travis, he throws this little thing out there that, hey, I like coming to your show or whatever. I'd like to go out with you or whatever. And she kind of disses him. And so, and this one, I have to say that Taylor, they both got a lot of power and influence and celebrity. But she's really, she's top notch. I mean, that woman's almost a billionaire, okay? She's a hell of a performer. I worked the Arrowhead, so I got to see 2 of her shows. To do that kind of 4-hour show 2 nights in a row with that much energy, she is phenomenal. And she's written all these songs. I mean, she's got that aspect too. So Travis, though, had to, he threw that thing out like, I've seen your show in my backyard. How about you come see me play a game? And so it's been kind of fun, and then you got all these people speculating on it, and it looks like who knows, they could be getting engaged here in March. I mean, that's kind of one of the rumors, but they seem to be really, really a good match to me. I mean, they're this ideal it couple. I mean, and so Travis is he's got that podcast with his brother. It's very popular.
I've been listening to said
the
podcast.
thing with the mother, and Taylor's sitting with his mom. I mean, it's just the perfect marketing thing for both of their careers. I mean, his jersey sales, and I mean, I can't believe how many ads he's on now. I watched the football game yesterday, and there's the 2 things at a time one, and there's several different ads, and he's got a lot more intrigue to me than, say, Pat Mahomes is, who's probably the best quarterback, certainly
right now
of this century. I don't know anybody in the last 20-some years that's been.
It's Tom Brady.
Yeah, there's a few of them. And I'm not a football stats guy, so I don't. Anyway, but that's a good model to look at because, and he says, "Oh, I was a little butthurt, when she didn't respond to me," and so. Then that probably, in Taylor Swift's mind, is like, oh, well, man, I'm gonna go check this guy out. Yeah, he didn't sit and cry and whine about it, but it was just that was an intriguing move for him to make. To get out in public and say, yeah, I was a little butthurt that she didn't she accept my, whatever, give me your phone number, whatever he asked for, and look at him now. So, it wasn't the smoothest initial thing, but boy, it set up the game. It set up the intrigue, the mystery, the chase, the all of that stuff. I mean, it's one you could probably study and write a book about it. And granted, we're not all rich, but the bottom line of these things is for a woman to really be interested in a guy, he doesn't have to be tall, full head of hair, great shape, wealthy, drives a BMW or whatever, because those things are not the man. Those are just sort of status symbols, or those are your God-given looks or whatever. It's nice to dress nice, and it's always I heard that one of the first things a woman looks at is a guy's shoes. So I have a lot of shoes. I have some really nice ones. And I go out and I'll get 3 or 4 or 5 people comment on my shoes, which is, it makes me feel good. But it makes me feel like, yeah, that was a good investment to buy those shoes. And, and I'm a dancer, so they got leather soles and I can scoot across the floor. I can dance better because I'm wearing the right kind of shoes. It's like if you're on a football field wearing the wrong kind, you're not wearing your cleats and they're not digging into the ground, you're not going to perform well. So
That's right.
A lot of that is you get, where am I going? What's the deal with this place? And what are my interests? And it's nice to have a person that has very similar interests, but it's nice to have some differences. And then that's, oh, you're into this kind of maybe some kind of form of athletics or hiking or whatever, and the other person's into, I really love to bowl. It's just so fun to watch that ball. And the other person's like, I've never bowled, or I've never wanted to go climb a mountain. What the hell is that all about? But yet you become intrigued by it, and so it's something that they can do that's out of their norm, and that can be exciting for somebody. A new friend, not a new old friend, but her last boyfriend didn't take her on trips, didn't do anything exciting, and just got bored, come home, plop down on the couch, and wouldn't help around the house, wouldn't do anything, and just kind of characterized him as maybe lazy, maybe not real nice. So I bet she's interested in somebody I'd like to take her on a trip or two. Or whatever. Go something fun. Go see a Broadway show. Go to the opera. I mean, I went and saw Sound of Music, went by myself, and it wasn't something that I might have really thought about going, but boy, I went to it, and just the whole tie-in with the Austria and Germany and the Nazis and the war and all of that was so fascinating. And then all the songs and stuff. So, so the 3 shows I saw within a month. I saw the Rocky Horror Show live at the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Saw To Kill a Mockingbird with John Boy from the Waltons in the lead role of Atticus Finch, and then I saw Sound of Music, which is this wonderful music, and it was the lyric opera, so it had the element of operatic singers. And I wouldn't say I go out and I buy opera CDs all the time, but I really can respect that type of music and the quality and the production value of really all 3 was just fabulous. But I may be the only guy in the city that went to those 3 shows. They're a little different, How many people at the Lyric Opera you think went to the Rocky Horror Show? Probably not very many, but they all presented a very intriguing story. And Sound of Music, that's a love story with if you dig the old movie out, the Maria and the captain guy, he's very gruff and whatever, and she comes in and she starts getting his kids to sing. And they used to sing, I guess, before his wife died. And after that, no music in the house. And she was in a convent, and she's kind of the wild child in the convent, and they decided to make her a governess and put her in his house. Mm-hmm. And then you see that thing develop, and it follows all those traditional seduction. Yeah, seduction's maybe a little odd word to use with it, but all of that intrigue and the chase and the change of heart and how she turned this gruff, tough, mean guy into this just loving guy that wanted to go sing, and his kids came alive, and so it's an age-old story. I mean, you're looking at the Bible's probably full of several of them, movies, but they do say, I mean, maybe you need to go out and read a few romance novels that the women read, because all of these things online say these techniques are like these novels that create these little fantasies in the woman's mind. And so you're not there, and she's dreaming up these fantasies of being with you, and why didn't he text me back? You know, it's been 3 hours, and then you get a text. Oh my God, you've been obsessing and thinking about this person that whole time, rather than text, return text. Anytime I send a text, he's going to return that text in 30 seconds. Yeah, where's the challenge? What's going on in your mind? Well, no, he's too easy. This is too easy. I need a little more excitement. So anyway, if you can put that together, the love languages, the 5 love languages, and the art of seduction, I'd recommend that book to anybody if we get into a literature. Or they say, "What's your favorite book?" I always tell them, "That's my favorite book," and it's because it helps me understand people, human nature. It's tied into history. You get an example of Marilyn Monroe or John Kennedy or Cleopatra, and he ties all these things together with the story that we all know. And so it's real easy to relate to. And when you have that kind of, here's a success story that was because of this, which you initially thought was kind of shocking. I mean, it's kind of like, I used to do these videos for Beth Shalom Synagogue, and there was this rabbi there, and he would come out every time. There were hour-long things. In the first 5 minutes, he would have everybody in that room mad at him because of something he said. And then he would spend the rest of the time until the end, everybody loved him, loved the speech, and completely moved their opinion to a completely different place because of this guy's skill in talking. And literally, some of them were like inciting a riot when he would come in. The first thing he would say, you would just look around, you'd see the people squirm, and then by the end, and it was, being a video guy like yourself, I don't know how many talking head videos you did, but I do depositions, I do sit in a market research group, so I'm constantly learning and seeing people who are really good at what they do and some other people that are mediocre at what they do. And so you start picking up like a speaker. Speaker's just like meeting a girl at the bar. If a public speaker doesn't come out and win that audience over in the first 20 seconds, 30 seconds, tells the right kind of joke, establishes that rapport, they're not going to be very interested in what he has to say. But he could be talking about the most boring plumbing product in the world, but if he comes out and he really excites people and turns them on in the beginning of his speech, they're going to listen. He's created this, I'm an expert of this, and I'm somebody you can trust, and all of those things. So if you look at even sales techniques, because it's a lot like sales. You got to go out and sell yourself, and you got to. I gave you a little bit. I want you to give me something. I'd like for you to buy this product. I've told you why it's the best product in the world. And then that person, and he's kind of said he's kind of an expert on this, and he showed me why this one's would be better for me in the long run, even though it's a little more expensive. I believe him. I'm going to buy it. And think of that next lady that you have an interest in. Again, your guy. You see her visually. She's attractive. I like her style. I like the way she dresses. I like the way she interacts with people. She seems nice. Then you need to be your part of the game. You say, okay, well, I like her visually. She's got to like me because of all the things that a woman wants in a man. So she's not looking for you to be a pretty woman, because you're not a woman. You're a guy. She wants a completely different thing. And men and women are equal, 100%. But we're different. We want different things. We have a completely different style. But look up the masculine and feminine energy. I actually posted it on my Facebook page. I saw it and I was so intrigued by it, because you think you know what it is, but masculine energy. Think of a carpenter. He has a plan. He's got a blueprint. He's going to do it. He knows where he's going to go. He's an engineer, whatever. And the woman is more affected by feelings. And how does that make me feel? And so you have to dip into that other side's realm, understand it, but not become it. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, anyway, I've been fascinated by this subject for a long time, since I got that Art of Seduction book. I literally look at people and I can say, oh, he's a real rake, or he's the bad boy type, or she's shy. She's probably got some insecurity that if you could figure that insecurity out and make her feel secure, she'd be I won't say an easy mark, but she'd be somebody that might really find you interesting or really find you fascinating. And so it's a fun game if you're good at it. It's like sports. If you're not good at the sport you're in, it's probably not very fun playing. If you went out and lost every game and you couldn't catch a ball, it's not as fun. But if you're good at it, man, it just becomes lifeblood for you.
Right.
Does that do it?
Yeah,
Is that enough?
I
think you got more than enough.
I think I'll close by saying this. We have a drinking game now with the podcast. I'm going to have to add a Taylor Swift rule to the drinking
I think
game.
that's good. And then you get it.
Anytime, take a drink anytime we mention Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce or any of that.
And if you can ride the coattails of that, go for it, man. Yeah, it's like anyway.
Okay, I want to have at least 3 opinions on this matter. Fortunately, time is not on my side on this. I have not heard back from another expert on the field. So instead, we're going to do something we rarely do on this podcast and revisit a past interview. It just so happened Adam McKeith, friend of the podcast, has been on the podcast twice. And his second time, I specifically wanted to ask him about his thoughts on this subject. And I will go ahead and share that with you to wrap up this very special episode. And here it is. We'll be replaying Adam's interview.
It's funny. I had a coworker of mine when I was a kid. He made a comment that if you're a man, you got female trouble, and he was a lion. And my best friend's granddad, he was master sergeant in World War II. When kids, he joke around and say that, son, you're going to pay for it one way or another. Well, you pay for it directly, and take it cash, or you pay for it indirectly, with your heart and mental drama stuffs.
Right. Well, these are problems that have been affecting me pretty much my whole life, if you start thinking about it. It's not helped out by the fact that I have Asperger's syndrome. All right.
Yeah, I don't know the symptoms of that. If you feel like sharing, go for it. If not, it's all good.
I do plan on having an ex join me on the podcast who also suffers from Asperger's.
Oh, okay.
All right. But long story short, high school and college, I had a dreadful, shall we say, 0 for 9 streak. Most of the problem, I'm sorry to be the one to say this, but it seemed like all the girls I was interested in either weren't interested or already had boyfriends.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least one of whom threatened to kick my ass. Right. So you can imagine the psychological scarring going on then, right?
Yeah, that's when you say, hey, you got a cute girlfriend, man. What do you want me to do? It's like, I didn't know she was your girlfriend. Take it as a compliment. Chill out.
Right. And while I'm in the high school frame of mind, I do seem to recall, I never got her name, but there's this one gal, brunette, during our school-sanctioned after parties, would kind of stalk me a little bit. So like, who the fuck are you, ladies? That's what I'm thinking. All right.
Yeah.
Who the hell are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think as men, there's like particular lessons you need to learn, or as boys or males, whatever.
Right.
One of those, hey, if I knew then what I know now, but one of them sort of pay attention to the signs, see which girl is giving you attention, checking you out, vibing with you, finding lame reasons to talk to you.
Mhm.
That means that obviously it's interested. So climb up the right tree and pick all the fruit you want, versus going after the wrong tree, like I was stupidly infamous for. But as you grow up, you get better with that. And plus, I don't know, man, I think there's like a particular set of behaviors which I don't know what's with society today. It's kind of like even Jordan Peterson, who that is. He's a world-renowned author
I,
and psychologist.
I do know who Jordan Peterson is. Can't say I'm a fan.
Yeah, I mean it's fine, but you can't discount the fact that he's a world-renowned psychologist and he's a teacher at Harvard. And he was saying, the society of the West is basically giving up on masculinity, and so many men are raised by just either single parents or just father figures that didn't really pass down lessons that really would have helped their sons.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I'm no expert by any means, but I'm pretty smart guy. Learn a lot of shit from my experience. So, and I mean, if I can share that with anybody that's helpful, I'm happy to do so. One of the things when it comes to the ladies is always just be straightforward and to the point. Because if you're a strong person, you're strong in your boundaries, you're straightforward to the point. I mean, one, they're super responsive to that. Two, they respect that. They know that, hey, you're a real man. And three, I mean, they know that you're not a wishy-washy person, that you're not weak, you can't be walked all over. And it's, I mean, man, I mean, girls try to test you to see, how strong you are in your boundaries. You will stick to your guns if you do have more self-respect than you do for her. And, it's like you and me are both pretty nice guys. But I don't know if it's tooting my own horn or just give an example. I mean, I've had girls, that tried to test my boundaries, thought that I was a pushover because I'm a nice dude. They saw, the other side real quick. That's another thing, you got to be able to want to show your teeth, meaning like, hey, stick up for yourself, whether it's a girl trying to test your boundaries to see, if you will stick up for yourself to her, because, psychologically speaking, then she feels like that she can trust you to be a real man.
Mhm.
Or, if it's some other guys, that are trying to test you or whatever because you come off as a nice dude or whatever. I mean, that's just the way it has to be. My old martial arts teacher, Vince, he was more of a father to me than my biological father was. He just didn't give a shit. Was doing his own things. But I mean that's the best advice that I've heard from him. Is it's like you just got to be yourself and be a strong person, straightforward and to the point. And if you're that way, nobody has anything on you, and that's the way it has to be. And when it comes to the ladies, I mean, give it a shot or two. If she likes you for you, great. If not, move on to the next one. That's just the way it's got to be. And
Right.
another thing that I find so funny, my friend Ryan, it's well, I didn't give out his last name. I don't think he'd mind me sharing the story, but his father was, like a real gung ho asshole. And they say that girls really like assholes because and his sister told me that I won't tell you the circumstances she told me this under, but girls like douchebags because they're all about themselves. We admire guys like that because it shows that they value themselves. And then she made the comment, but you're that way, but you're nice about it.
Yeah. Well,
and yeah, it works because she's very merciful.
mhm.
Yeah, I mean, just give it a quick recap. Just be straightforward and to the point.
Sure.
And if she doesn't like you for you, just move on to the next one.
Right.
That and the reason the ladies like assholes is because they're selfish and value themselves. I mean, that's just the way it has to be. And if you're not, I mean, they look like come off as a weak person. I mean, I hate to say it, man, but girls really aren't the nicer sex. They think you're a weak guy. They'll fucking shred your feelings. They'll shred your heart like there's no tomorrow. And it's like we've had teenage experience. They're like, oh my god, but we did all this stuff together, and I did all this stuff for her. I mean, she doesn't give a shit about that.
Hmm.
And that's just female nature. So all these people say that, there's no difference between men and women. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? There's a hell of a lot of difference between men and women. You know, for example, I mean, the men's identity is completely tied to their, you know, their career, their purpose, whereas a women's identity, you know, especially when they get in their 30s, is tied with, you know, relationships and, you know, kids and whatnot. So what I find interesting is I heard a couple of girls at work at lunch break talking, and apparently one of them's, you know, like 21, but she's got a 31-year-old boyfriend. So she's talking about, you know, difference in maturity level. She makes the comment that, you know, that I think you might be in a different headspace. And her 3 female friends, they chime in, they're like, oh, girl, he's 31, he's got baby fever. And they're like, oh, he's totally got baby fever at that age. And I'm like, no offense, but are you fucking kidding me? We're men. We don't get baby fever. We don't have a biological clock that's ticking. And she's 21. She's like, well, I don't know if I ever want to have kids. I'm like, you know, it's like, I've seen this. It's like, you're 21. What the fuck do you know? Wait till you hit 29, 30, and your biological clock starts going off. See how badly you want to have kids. And I know that because I got 2 sisters and I got a bunch of friends. So I find that really interesting. But another thing that I find really interesting, you know, I had a few lady friends, you know, who were like 33, 34, 35. And they would go out on dates with these guys. They're really nice guys, man. But if those guys, you know, at first did 1 or 2 things wrong or said 1 or 2 things wrong, they just like dump them. Like, there's no tomorrow. Like, oh, I'm not gonna go out with him again. I didn't like his shoes. Like, what? It was like, but you said he's a nice guy. He's respectful. You know, got a good career. Blah blah. She's like, yeah. But what I find interesting, those same girls who were being, you know, didn't have too much forethought in their behavior, from my perspective. When they turn like 35, they're just trying to settle down to get with the first guy that they can, you know, who's worth a shit, who's got a job. So I'm just like, wow. So you passed up on all these great guys just because you basically had no foresight. They said and did 1 or 2 things wrong. Now you're just basically shacking up with anything that you can because you really want to have a kid really bad. I don't know, man. I find it really interesting. But as a man, you know, there's particular behaviors you need to learn. One is, you know, hindsight's 2020. So pay attention to the signals, you know, because the women are really subtle about when they like you. You know, they'll find lame reasons to talk to you, or they'll be checking you out, or they'll get in your personal space, or they'll play with their hair or whatever when you're around. You know, to other girls, it's obvious that, you know, hey, she's throwing it at you. She's interested. And the guys are like, oh, she didn't say anything. I mean, reflecting back on it, I was like, I knew then what I knew now. There was a lot of beautiful ladies I could have easily hooked up who were throwing it at me, but I was too dumb to pick up on the signals.
And that's another way that having Asperger's affects me, is that I don't pick up on that type of thing, you know.
Social cues.
Right.
Oh gosh, yeah, they're tough. Yeah, because
anyway,
there's so
that
much,
was.
so
But
much
anyway,
timing
what
involved with it.
I talked about, that's just the high school and college side of things.
Sure.
I think the adult side of things are all right.
Yeah, go.
So the first woman who was, shall we say, crazy enough to date me, I was working security, right? And
Oh, come on, man. That's. I'm gonna cut you off real quick. Play Big Brother there or whatever. That's mistake number 1, man. You gotta value yourself. You know, have some confidence and think about the good things about yourself, what you do have to offer. And you know, I mean, I'm not a fan of Kid Rock, but that fucker said that, hey, if you act like you're the shit, people treat you like you're the shit. Or, you know, hey, if you have respect for yourself, other people will be forced to respect you too. And if they don't, you put up a boundary and be like, oh, I'm not doing this. And that goes a long way. You gotta, you know, believe in yourself and think about the things, you know, you do have to offer, and not just fake it till you make it. Anyway, so that's
finish my
one
story,
thing I'd like you
please.
to pay yeah, that's one thing that I'd like to pay you to pay attention to if this is something you want help with. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, finish your story.
I think the stories are important in trying to help me.
Sure.
To give you some idea of what all I've gone through.
Go for it.
So yeah, working security one night in Westport, and she comes up. It's about Halloween time, and her costume's about to fall off, right? And she asked me to help her out, and I, at that point, I felt obliged to leave my number with her. and next thing you know, we
Because he probably did that on purpose.
went out for about a month after that. So, and that remains the longest I've been involved with someone romantically. Now I know Caroline and everything, and we spend a lot of time together.
True.
She's not interested in getting romantic with anyone, so it's not just me in that case, but we are very close in a platonic sense.
Cool.
Yeah, and I respect that. Other women, I not going to name names. I'm lucky to get second dates from them, and but it's never gotten to a point where I'm comfortable asking for sex or anything. So I'm still a virgin at 41. There, I said it on a podcast. I'm still a virgin at age 41. And there have been some interesting happenstances. You were talking about your cars before. Just before one date. This one I was still driving the van. All right. I had a lot of free time before this date, so I'm driving around, and I wound up backing into a mailbox and shattering the rearview window.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah. And then there was another one that's a little more recent. I left my wallet at home. So she wound up having to pay for it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Again, I'm not going to name names, but these are
hey, at least
have happened. And then there was and then there was one. We went into a T-Bones game. Not the most. I'll be completely honest. Not exactly my type, but I went out with her again, just a pity, and just called it after that second date. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So yeah. So yeah. So I think
I understand, man.
Yeah. So I think for me, a big obstacle is, girls I'm attracted to either not interested or already seeing someone. The type that I seem to attract, I'm not attracted to.
Huh.
Yeah. It's especially bad on the online side. And of course, that one time that I got scammed. We all know. I think you know that story by now.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, I don't know what to say on that one. What do you think would help you? Like, go ahead. I'm all ears.
Well, believe it or not, just a few days ago, on my iPad, I have a app called it's BetterHelp.
Yeah.
Which hooks you up with different therapists.
Right.
So I decided to give it a shot, and I'm someone who saw a therapist for about a decade. The only reason I don't see a therapist anymore, my current insurance doesn't cover him.
Gotcha.
Right, but he's a damn good therapist. Everything. But anyway, the therapist I talked with during the week, I told her about my problems and everything.
Yeah.
He suggested one of two things. One, practice asking total strangers to talk with them and everything in public.
Yeah.
And two, asking my friends to hook me up. Like,
yeah.
I don't know about that, but everything I've done so far hasn't been working. So I'm And so yeah, we might give that. I might have to give that a shot. So
Yeah, it's I mean, it's just like everything's a skill set. Like when I was younger, I just did not talk to girls. Like I didn't have the confidence to do it. And then luckily I had a best friend, who was 4 years older, and he would make me do it.
yeah, you brought that up last
We
time.
would go out to a party. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it's like everything is a skill set, whether it's, talking to girls or to drive a car or whatnot. So, but you can take an improv class that'll really, help you open up and, keep the conversation going. Or, if you're talking to strangers, I mean, that saying, girls just want to have fun. You don't ever go against that because it's very true. And just shoot the shit, or, I mean, we could get into, a whole different subject. I'm no expert,
I'm sure
but
there are plenty. So I'm sure there are other subjects we can talk about too. So, but yeah, it's basically one of the
yeah.
two. I just don't feel comfortable asking total strangers, if they'd like to talk and everything else.
Yeah, that's stupid advice. Who the fuck's gonna do that? Like, I mean, I wouldn't do that. I mean, first of all, I mean, everybody feels, anxiety when they're gonna go talk to someone that they don't know. I know that from experience because when I tried to talk to girls I didn't know, I'd be like, but with,
But interestingly enough, that's where game nights and stuff could come into play. Unfortunately, most of the women that participate in those game nights are already married or seeing someone. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just go out and do cool, fun shit, and you'll find someone who likes doing similar stuff. But yeah, man, I think that's dumb advice when you're a therapist. Go ask strangers if they want to talk. That's fucking weird. It's. I mean, I'm a pretty sociable guy. I'm like, hey, would you like to talk? I mean, just shoot the shit about something. Notice something about them. Like the guy that I made friends with. Who was an NFL referee. He was like wearing a cool ass fedora at the airport. We were on standby. So I was like, hey, I like your fedora, man. He's like, oh, thanks, blah, 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 blah. And I noticed he had a Super Bowl ring. And I was like, is that a Super Bowl ring? He's like, yeah, I used to be an NFL referee. So you just notice things, point out little things. People like talking about themselves. I don't know, man. I mean, you and Mike, like, once this COVID crap's over, go out and, shoot the shit. I mean, truth is that thanks to my best friends, training back in the day for pushing me to talk to the ladies, I actually are really good at it. But the thing that I suffered with was, like I didn't realize, women's bloodthirsty nature, or they think you're a weak guy, or if you're not holding back, or you're being too nice or giving too much attention, be off to the next guy and rip your heart out without thinking twice about it. So I mean, those are things you got to pay attention to as well. So it's like one is being able to pick them up, and the other is being able to distance yourself and manage your behaviors. You can manage their behaviors. Plus, you don't know what you're going to be in for. Don't be blindsided because all this Disney shit on TV. Like, oh, you fall in love with the same person. It's so romantic, blah, blah, blah. Be the nice guy. I'm like, fuck, you act like that in real life. It's going to backfire on you. Plus, another thing that I find interesting is like all these characters on TV. Like when I was a kid, you had like Arnold and fucking Rambo and Van Damme and all these, cool masculine guys. Or if you watch 50s, you had like John Wayne and Gregory Peck, blah blah. But nowadays, all the guys on TV are, like fumbling idiots. Like I was watching that Ready Player One movie. All these guys are just weak, pathetic pussies looking for, girls' approval and acting like, they're just dipshits with no confidence or dominance whatsoever. And all these guys, I mean, what is like over half of males now in our society are being raised by single mom. They see this shit and they think that, oh, hey, I saw this on TV and it worked on TV. I mean, that doesn't work in real life. Like I said, I mean, it's simple as just being straightforward and to the point. If somebody doesn't like you for you, I mean, that's okay. On to the next one. That's just the way it's got to be. Because if you act like a wishy-washy, weak person, they'll fucking shrink your heart. And I guess the good thing about that is hey, a girl will teach you, how to act like a strong man. So, if what you're doing isn't working and you switch it up, and I just told you what works. So that helps great. I mean, try it, and I wouldn't tell you you're wrong. I'm not the smartest guy, but my observation, I do know what works in particular ways. So hopefully that helps. But I understand. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it can be tough, especially if you have Asperger's or whatnot. But
Yeah.
maybe take an improv class, or go out with a buddy, who's good with the ladies, who's good at shooting shit with the girls.
Do you know I was in an improv troupe for a little bit? So
Oh, really?
yeah.
Cool.
In fact, I had
it really teaches you to open.
yeah. In fact, one of the episodes early on was with Chris Hertz, and we did a improv exercise with that. He was in the improv troupe as well, and
Yeah.
of course, this having worked with me before, that I like having my actors do improv. It's in part because of
Mhm.
my own experience with improv, and
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this particular special. So thank you to Dale Valor, Pat Lamb, retroactively Adam McKeith, and everyone for their inputs into this episode. And I'm going to close with a call to my friends. It's time. If you know someone who's single and, most importantly, local, and meets as close as possible the criteria that I look for in a potential mate, please, for the love of God, message me. Let's get this hooked up. It's time. It's beyond time. It's been beyond time for 20 plus years now. So let's finally do this, all right? Because frankly, I don't know how I'm still alive with all the shit I have to go through, plus being single for as long as I have been. So it's time. Let's get the ski dog hooked up. So all that out of the way, thank y'all so much for listening. Have a happy February 14 for those who celebrate, and we will talk to you next time. I know I promised we'd have another specialist on here. Unfortunately, we won't be able to put it into this episode, but if we do eventually get scheduled, we will make a separate episode with said specialist. So, thank you, and we will talk soon. This podcast is Uncalled For. It's hosted, produced, and edited by myself, Mike Chernevsky. Opening music is Iron Bacon by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons Attribution License. Our outro music for this very special episode is the T42 Cha-Cha by the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra and Warren Covington, written by Vincent Youmans and Irving Caesar. This is a public domain recording, and you can find it at the Internet Archive, archive.org. And I would like to remind you that Adam Archuleta is not only responsible for the Redskins defense, he's also responsible for the greenhouse effect, federal deficit, Sanjaya remaining on American Idol, long lines at the drive-thru, Mr. Tony and myself losing our hair. Not only is he responsible for all of that, he kidnapped the Lindbergh baby and started the Great Chicago Fire, and I have a gun authority that a certain someone's child was going to be held back to grade, because not only was she not turning in her homework at school, but instead of blaming the dog like everybody else, she was blaming the missing homework on Adam Archuleta. And at this point, let the jihad start. And don't be sophomoric in your jihad, people.
If you are in the United States or Canada, you can call us at 816-832-5160. Leave your message or question for us, and if we like it, we will play it on the podcast. Please support the podcast and purchase our exclusive uncalled for merchandise. T-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and so much more. Go to www.cafepress.com/uncalledforpod. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.